All right. Heretics of Dune. I made it. Now I was looking and there is a steep drop off of people that have read this far when you're looking at um, the book review community. A lot of people either quit after Children of Dune, which is book three, and then it seems like the cliff that everybody falls off of is God Emperor. Like a lot of people just, that's it. You don't find very many reviews from people that have read past that. So I made it. Book 5 in the Dune Chronicles. There will probably be, well, I'm going to, no doubts about it. There will be spoilers for the previous books in the series because it's a series. I really cannot talk about this without talking about things that happened in the previous books. It's just the way it is. So, this is picking up. We have another time skip. We are time skipping from the end of God Emperor of Dune, and I think we are 1,500 years in the future from the end of God Emperor. So, Arrakis is known as Rakis, and the ecology of the planet has changed. We've watched it changed over the millennia that began the series. It was in the original Dune, Arrakis was a desert. Then we watched it transform into a lush water planet. And now it's reverting back to its desert state. Here, the transformation. But what we had was, after the Paul Atreides in his story concluded, we had Leto II, who had transformed himself into, basically a god emperor, right? By merging with the worms. And he used his prescient vision to forge his golden path. So we're living in the aftermath of the golden path. Now, he really restricted everything and stagnated the universe. He ruled everything with an iron grasp. Everything is in his control. He had taken over the spice. So he controlled travel, he controlled the Ixians, the Tleilaxu, the Spice Guild navigators. I mean, he had total domination because of his prescient vision, which just allowed him to, forge all of his plans within plans and to ward off assassination attempts and whatnot. He was basically invincible. So here we are picking up after his reign has concluded. And we have again a power struggle because after the events of God Emperor, everybody scattered in what's called the scattering and went off into various parts of the universe. Humanity went out and seeded everything. After they broke loose from the iron grip that he had them under, they just went buck wild. So we have the Bene Gesserit are a major player in this. We have several Reverend Mothers that we are introduced to in the Bene Gesserit. Schwengu is one of them. Taraza, the Reverend Mother Taraza, and the other one is Dari Odrade. And we also have Lucilla, who is kind of an up-and-comer. And there is this rival group out there called the Honored Matres, who are like a mirror image of the Bene Gesserit. So it's almost kind of like a Bene Gesserit civil war, because these scattered remnant, these Reverend Mothers of the Bene Gesserit that went out and seeded, none of them ever came back. And what's come back in their place are these Honored Matres. And the Honored Matres have aligned themselves with the Bene Tleilaxu. Okay, the guys that got the oxidal, I can't even, I'm saying it right, the oxidal tanks And there's this like power struggle going on for control of Arrakis. Everybody wants Arrakis. It's part of the old empire, and the spice, okay? Everybody wants the spice. So there's some developments that have happened here. The B'nai Tleilaxu have managed to create spice in their axolotl tanks, but it doesn't seem to have the same potency of the spice melange. So it's like a synthetic spice. And yeah, that's a thing going on in this book. And I guess it changes your eyes orange instead of blue. But the real deal, the real McCoy is what everybody's after. And so the Bene Gesserit really kind of are controlling the spice because they control Arrakis. There's a power vacuum. The empire is gone. So we don't have imperial rule anymore. Really, the great houses, the House Harkonnen, Carino, Atreides, they're all gone. And what we have is like this order, this ancient order in the Bene Gesserit who try to rule by seeding the galaxy or the planets with their missionary protectiva. This goes all the way back to Dune. And this book is dealing with like how to regain power after stagnation. There's so much noise out here. I may have to try this again. But how to hold on to power or to regain and hold on to power is a big thing going on in here. And there's a lot of talk about the fallout of Leto's Golden Path. And what exactly the Golden Path is we're still trying to work out what exactly he did or what it was he was trying to accomplish. And we have these honored matres who are like, they outnumber the Bene Gesserit. So in a way, it kind of reminds me in history of like the Aryan, just in Christian history, the struggle between, orthodoxy and the rise of Arianism. Like there was a time when there was very few of the real Orthodox Christians left. And the defender of the faith, okay, you had Athanasius say that the whole world has gone after Arius. It's kind of like this. It's like the whole galaxy has gone after the honored matres, in a way. Although the Bene Gesserit really seem to be kind of atheist. I'm not sure if they have a belief in God. If they do have a belief in God, it's more of like the Force, like Star Wars. Like they don't have a personal God. I'm not exactly sure. It's one of the things I'm working out. Like, do they actually believe in God or not? So it's they seem to tend more towards the no. They use religion as a way to control. But these honored matres are an interesting faction. So we have kind of a technocracy at work with the Ixians and kind of also with the B'nai Tleilax with their axolotl tanks and their production of golas and face dancers. And we have a lot of espionage. The face dancers are still around, although they've been mega upped through the gene splicing and all of the genetic engineering that the B'nai Tleilax who have poured in through centuries. But the Spicing Guild navigators have kind of gone the way of the dodo. They really don't have any power anymore because we have computers produced by the Ixians that are controlling the Spice Guild ships now. So there's like this forging alliance between the Space Guild and the Ix, who have kind of aligned themselves together, and they're kind of a weak faction. Then you have the B'nai Tleilaxu, who are kind of playing both sides because they are kind of playing both the honored matres, these space witch aberrations of the Bene Gesserit who are also playing the Bene Gesserit. So they're playing both sides against each other. The Bene Tleilaxu are trying to get a foothold to control. And it's all back to the spice. It's all back to Arrakis. So I think this was a much more interesting book than the previous book, God Emperor of Dune. But you would have to read God Emperor of Dune to get here. My favorite character in the book is Miles Tegg. Miles Tegg he kind of controls the Bene Gesserit's military forces. He's like their commanding officer type dude, and he's a Mentat, but he kind of reminds me of like a combination of like Gurney Halleck and Duncan Idaho. Like if you took those two characters and and maybe even Leto, like if you took like aspects of the personalities of these characters and melded them together, Miles Tegg feels a lot like Gurney Halleck and a lot like Duncan Idaho and a lot like Leto. Like he's a very mature, older figure, and I really like Miles Tegg quite a bit. He was by far my favorite character in the book. I really like him a lot, and he was the standout for me. I really don't have a whole lot else to say about it other than this character Shiana. Okay, so we have this girl that can talk to the worms, because all the worms that spawned off of Leto II, the God Emperor, they carry like a seed of his consciousness inside of them. And there's this descendant of Siona from God Emperor of Dune. She was a descendant of Siona, and she can communicate with the worms. Don't know how it's being done. It's like some sort of telepathic link or something. I don't know. She can talk to them, and she's kind of spawned like a religious cult in a way. And the Bene Gesserit want to control all of these various religions through the Missionary Protectiva, as they always do. And so we have this whole thing of the survival of the Bene Gesserit, and the Bene Gesserit trying to ensure that there's not another Kwisatz Haderach ever again. They don't want another Leto. They're trying to prevent something like that from ever taking place. So there's a lot of moving parts in this, and I'm not going to go into it, but I thought that this was a very interesting novel, but it does have some Filthy Frank in it. Now, we've seen some the birth of Filthy Frank. It's always been there. It really started to come out in, I think, Children of Dune, and then in God Emperor of Dune, it really got crazy with all the sexual stuff. And this goes full blown into the honored matres control through sex power. Like they're using sex as a means to control people and control factions and guilds and whatnot. So, and all of this is the mystery. This is the whole thing. We have another Duncan Idaho. So the Gola, there's another Gola of Duncan Idaho, and Duncan seems to be like the key to the Dune universe. Like, who would have thought reading that original Dune book that Duncan Idaho would be the key to all of it? But here he is again. And what is his purpose? What is this Duncan Idaho? Why does everybody want him? Why do the honored matres want to kill him or control him? The Bene Tleilaxu, there's a key to like why they've been providing the Bene Gesserit with Duncans and then killing them. And this is the 12th of the, I think they provided 11. They assassinated. We all learned this right at the beginning, by the way. So the preservation of this Duncan, what is his purpose? Why is he here? What is this Shiana, this descendant of Siona, links back to the Atreides line? Her speaking with the worms, right? These worms and the unfolding mystery of what Leto, the God Emperor worm tyrant, what was it that he was doing? What were these plans within plans? How will it all unfold? This book is full of a lot of mystery and intrigue. And it's weird. I don't think it's quite as weird as the previous book, but it sets up a lot of characters and a lot of power struggles. So it kind of ties back. It ties right back into the things that I found interesting in the first Dune book. And I would say I think this is my second favorite in the series. I really do. Having read it, I think I would rank Dune #1, and I think Heretics of Dune would be #2. Although I had to go through some of those weaker books to get here, but I think it was worth it because I'm back on the Dune train, baby. This book was very interesting to read, and I'm looking forward to reading Chapter House. So, it was worth it. And I'm glad I took a break from it because I came back into Dune, and now I'm ready to finish out the Dune series. Although I'm going to hold off on reading Chapter House and start the Longmire series, but I will be finishing it shortly, and I'll have an overall series overview once I finish. I'll read Chapter House and do a review for that, and then I think I'm going to want to talk about the whole series overall as a whole and some of the themes and stuff that I pulled out of it in a spoiler discussion. So, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.